So we'll be discussing what it's like to be a civilian and what is a civilian. What's a civilian? You and I, we're civilians. Drew?
A person affected by war.
Or
that lives.
Not even necessarily affected by war, but just a regular old person. Somebody not involved in the military or so on. So we're going to be talking about the civilians and then a soldier as well. So Chapter 7, think that's going to be your first entry. Now this yellow part right here, nobody's writing down. It's just a little kind of intro story. So the year is 1777, all right? So the war's been going on for a couple years now. Your brother is an American soldier. In his last letter to you, he wrote that the Army has no shoes, no bullets, ammunition, very little food, but he plans on keeping on fighting, okay? Now, a British army is coming towards your farm, so obviously you live on a farm. They're coming towards your farm. You hear that the soldiers are coming through, stealing all of the crops in people's farms, and they're using those crops to feed themselves and their horses. So these are some things that happen to civilians, okay? People would get letters from their family members letting them know what life was like. No bullets, no shoes, but I'm going to still stay there. I'm going to still keep fighting. I'm not going to give up. British come through. They steal your crops. They use your home for to sit in and relax. All right, they use your crops to feed their horses even. Open up to 191. I want to show you what some people would do to prevent this from happening. What?
I would think they would poison their
Poisoning. That's a good idea. Poison your crops. That's a good thought.
Then how could you eat them?
Well, that's the thing. He would rather poison his crops than let the British get it. Take a look at 191. What does it look like this woman is doing? Jordan? She set fire to her crops rather than let the British get it. She would rather destroy her crops herself than let any British soldier come and take them from her. Zach?
What they should do is have enough reserve to sell and make money that are hidden, and then the poison or burn.
Right, and as people noticed that was happening, maybe people did do that, hide some crops so they had enough, and then she went ahead and burned them. But, you know, she was willing to sacrifice tons of money there and her own food so that a British soldier could not come and take it from her. She would rather have that. So that's a sacrifice that she made for herself and her family. So this first question I want you to answer. I want you to write it out so it's in there. So please write out the question. What sacrifices do civilians make during wartime? Civilians are the people that are not fighting, like that woman in the picture, Mrs. Schuler, it looks like her name is. She sacrificed her crops. That's one example. What other sacrifices do civilians make during wartime? Take a little bit of time to answer this question, and then we're going to discuss. But what are some sacrifices that civilians make? Bromley?
I put destroying things the Army might find useful.
All right, good. Destroying things that the opposing side would find useful. Dylan? Very good. Going poor, going hungry.
I read about this in a thing I was reading last night, and it says you could possibly, if your house was taken and you had a woman, the soldiers could possibly rape her,
Yes.
rape her or kill her.
Yes, that's true. So for men, they could possibly sacrifice their wives or their daughters. When you said, Dylan, about going poor and without food during World War II, that happened. People, went without because of certain thing. We weren't able to make things. And so you had rations, like you could only use this amount of gas during the week. You could only use this certain amount of gas. You could only get this amount of stuff at the store. Could you imagine going to the gas station and you filled up this week, and what you filled up with, you have 3 weeks, and if you run out of gas in 3 weeks, you can't refill. So you got to make do. Same thing with food. Same thing with medicine. Same thing with all sorts of things. During that time, you could only do certain things because we couldn't produce.
You could possibly always be scared for your life.
Scared for your life, in fear at all times. What else? We have it good right now. I mean, we are in our country and we feel safe. The war is, not going on over here in 2013. Think of the people that live in Afghanistan and Iraq and over there where it's going on in Syria. It's going on in their home country. They're scared to leave their homes. We're okay. We are okay because we can walk out the door and know that there's not going to be a bomb dropped on us. where there's not going to be men out there shooting. What are some other things that civilians sacrifice, do you think? Is it
I don't have to but I already guess that.
okay? Any others? Yeah,
Money.
money. Good.
It scared me.
Anything else? Zach, you got another one?
They usually have to give up their land if the army settles there.
Yeah, land. Even what about today? Noah?
Yeah, I know.
Kind of. What do you think of civilians have to give up today during wartime?
Possibly, soldiers could take their house and
So-
use them as bases.
Okay. What else, Eli?
Temperatures.
Noah?
Sometimes now lives for
Lives.
any citizen.
What about your family? Your family. If I'm a civilian and let's say my father or something was going off to war, I may possibly be sacrificing him because he might not come back. Zach, what do you got?
They also take clothing.
Yeah, they did good. So those are civilians. Now for this next one, think about the soldiers. Now let's not think of the obvious. The obvious is the risk of death. That's obvious. But what are some other things? Think about their daily life, a soldier's daily life. Think about what they have to go through daily as a soldier. Just take it a second. Go ahead and write the question out. Jot some things down. But let's not, obvious, we all know the obvious is death. Okay? So think about that. All right, what are some sacrifices soldiers make? Dawn? They give up their independence? Possibly, but I think that's what these guys were fighting for, and usually that's what we are fighting for. Life, yep, that's the obvious one we're talking about. Jacob?
Sleep.
Sleep, yes. Dylan? Family. Candace?
Freedom.
Freedom, again, they are giving it up. PJ?
Income.
Income? Yeah. Cody?
Comfort.
Comfort?
I put land because usually the male was the owner of the land, so
Oh, okay. Yeah, and the woman, yeah. Zach?
Sometimes when they messed up, they probably got hit.
Okay, discipline. Drake?
Food.
Food. Drew?
I have two. They could be, actually, I have three. Their health.
Health, definitely.
They could be angry. They could become angry and very vicious. And depression.
Yeah, usually, especially when they come home, sometimes their mental state changes. And they become, they become very depressed. It's a different state of life when you're over somewhere during wartime for a year or even multiple years. Here in the Revolutionary War, they were there 4 or 5 years serving, and they come back, and it's a different reality. Today, it's even huge. Yeah, people lose their income, and sometimes people lose their jobs when they come back. Some of you said sleep deprivation, their comfort. What is it like over in the Middle East? It's a desert. Imagine living there, Zach.
My uncle had lost his job when he came back.
Yeah,
We had to find
good.
job.
And I mean it's sad. It's sad they're not supposed to, but it happens. Drew.
My brother-in-law, he was next Iraq. The 4 to 5 years he was there, he only got around 30 days of sleep.
Yeah, it's tough, and not because they're saying you can't sleep, but
Just scared.
you're scared to sleep. What's going to happen in the middle of the night? Someone going to
Slit
come?
your throat.
Yeah. So you're worried and scared to sleep. So it's not because you say you have to constantly be moving. You just aren't able to sleep, and your health, and that affects your health. The food is totally different over there, which could affect your health. So,
Desert food.
yeah. So,
Spiders.
yes, whole different
Like
type of.
spiders.
It's a whole different type of thing over there.
Like spiders, like.
I would be quite scared. I know I couldn't do it. A lot of credit to the people that are able to fight for our country. So, think of the sacrifices we've talked about, civilians and soldier style size. Is it worth these sacrifices to win independence for your country? Is it worth sacrifices like these that we've discussed to win independence for your country? Please explain this one. All right, go ahead and take a little bit of time. But think about those first and decide, is it worth it? Do you think it's worth it? Who would like to share what they thought? Cameron?
Yeah, because your kids could have better lives if you gave independence.
Good kids, family could have better lives. Drew?
I said no and yes. No because I'm not gonna say no because your children, if they grow up, there could possibly be another war, and just I say stay with the British.
Alright. Zach?
I had said not always. Yes, everyone wants independence, but in some cases, you just need to wait and see it through for a little bit, because making rash decisions towards the beginning of non-independence could end up horribly in the end. It could cost you a lot more than it could if you
Okay.
made a smart decision and waited just a little bit longer.
Okay. Bromley?
I put yes, but really it depends on how bad you want it. Like honestly, if you know you want your independence, you fight for what you want to, not for what you have to. Like if you want your independence, fight for it.
Yeah. You're going to be willing to give up pretty much anything if that's what you really deeply, truly want. Dylan?
I said yes because if you don't, you either die or suffer from the Britain's brutal rule again, and you don't want your family to end up having to live like that. So
Go back to, look at that picture again on the woman there. She's sacrificing her field so the British don't get it. And they're fighting for independence. Are they fighting for her? In 1777, are they fighting for her? Who are they fighting for independence for, Eli? The white, free white men. She knows this. She knows that they're not fighting for her really, but she's giving this up because she thinks maybe someday she will have her independence as well. So she sacrificed that knowing the independence really wasn't towards her. Okay, a couple more here and then we'll start with some reading. What would you sacrifice? You don't have to write these down. Let's kind of discuss these. What would you sacrifice to win freedom, Eli?
My house.
House? Brownlee?
Well, for me, I would sacrifice my life for freedom.
Good. Dylan?
land and everything else that I have.
Okay, and all your property. PJ?
Yeah, like my life or anything that I've lived for.
Okay. Noah?
When that pops in my head, when you fight for something or for independence or freedom, you're basically, when you sacrifice, you're sacrificing everything, including life, family, you're sacrificing a lot of things.
You are.
Basically,
Pretty much
I'll do
everything.
anything for freedom.
Mm-hmm. Good. Drew?
I have to agree with Jacob here and say that I would most likely try to train my kids. So
Mhm.
if the British did come to our house, they could defend themselves. And
Good.
if they needed to kill them, we could.
Good, that's good. When we watch a little clip of The Patriot, he teaches his sons how to shoot and hide in the trees. Noah, remember?
Awesome. That's
Well,
a good movie.
that's the clip we'll watch.
I love that.
Kind of like hiding in the they watch his back while he's fighting the British, and so yeah, kids learn to fight. Zach.
I wouldn't say I'd give my life because some people, they do give their life for independence, but it affects their family more.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't give my life, but I would give my house, my property, my money, anything to help the cause.
Okay, so those people that are giving their lives and pretty much everything they have, they are doing it not thinking of themselves. They're thinking of their family. They're thinking of the future, their family that maybe isn't fighting, that will get the freedom, their future grandchildren, and so on. Those are the people, and they're the people they are thinking of. They're not thinking of themselves because they're willing to give up their life, which is pretty impressive. Last one here. Don't write it down. We'll just discuss this one. What do you think it's like in the daily life during the Revolutionary War? We kind of have an idea about today, but what about in the Revolutionary War, Brownlee?
You probably don't get much sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds of cannons, gunfire, so you're probably always alert.
Yeah, always on high alert, being ready, prepared. Eli?
Poverty.
Yeah, poverty. PJ?
Well, you probably
possibly